Hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, good evening.
Hey, Andy, how are you?
Good. How's it going? Good to see
Pretty
you.
good. See you.
Good to see you.
Good evening, everyone. Just bear with me a minute. I'm in my car on my cell phone, but I'm running in to get on the computer so that we can, you'll be
To
better
help-
to hear me.
To help Carmen fill the time, I just want to say hello, everybody. This is Warren.
Hi, Warren.
Hey, Carmen.
Hello.
I'm just, my phone will die if I stay on it for this meeting, so I'm gonna run in and get on the computer. Otherwise, all you will hear is a bunch of noise.
Can everybody please mute?
Hey, Mia.
Good evening, Warren.
And a good evening to everybody. Hey, so before we start, we're having a CV9 community fair in Ronald McNair Park this Saturday. We have over 60 vendors, and we also have local food producers or restaurants. So we invite you all to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. You the host with the most. So we kind of have, our agenda is probably going to be lengthy. We have two presentations. Come on. Trying to see if I have quorum with my committee members. Paco. Okay.
Hi, Carmen.
Hi, Luis Calistas. I'm counting to see if I have a quorum. Okay, I got 1, 2, 3. I got 3 members so far. Am I right?
Yeah, you have Stanley, Kalista, and Paco. who are
Right.
present.
Okay. Hopefully everybody else will come on.
What's our quorum?
No,
What do we need for quorum?
there has to be 4, not including me, so I need 1 more person to log in.
Warren's not a committee member?
No,
Okay.
you will think so, right?
Hi, Mia. I just like this committee. You know, Carmen, you do count towards quorum.
That's what I would have thought.
Hmm?
You're not a voting,
No, you count.
But you are,
towards
Carmen.
quorum, not me.
No, well, I don't even know exactly how many, we have members that, barely come to the meeting, but I don't know exactly how many.
Right, but that doesn't affect your qualifying for quorum.
Yeah,
Okay,
all right. Hold on a minute. I'm logging into my computer.
Hello,
Oh.
Mr. Burke.
is that Francesca? How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good, can't complain.
Miss Hilton?
Huh?
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Fran.
Good evening.
Hi, Mia.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. All right. Let me just click on the link. All right. All right, what is it, 7:08? That's me trying to come in, Mia. All right, here I am.
You're in.
Okay. Let me turn on my camera so you all can see me. And then I'll get off the phone. Hello. Now I can get off this one. You don't hear me, right?
Yes,
No,
I
we
can hear
you.
you.
We hear
Yes.
you. You're good to go.
Can you hear me now? You hear me?
yes,
Now? Okay.
yes.
My speaker wasn't working. I'm moving my mouth and you're not. So how's everybody? Hi, Andy. Long time we don't speak. Diana, everybody. Okay, I got Stanley, Paco. All right. Excellent. Alisa. So, good evening, everybody. Again, my name is Carmen Martinez. I am serving as the ad hoc chair for the Transportation Committee meeting this evening. This is the last meeting before the summer break. We have two presentations on our agenda. DOT is going to talk to us about City Bike, and we have MTA, New York City Transit Authority, will talk about Accessory, And during old business, we have residents from efforts who want to talk about the long-standing issues that they've had on the block concerning speed humps. So if I would just ask everyone to just introduce yourself briefly, say who you are, if you're a committee member, if you're a community resident, represented an agency. And I will start from what I can see. Nina, is that here?
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Nina Sabgir, and I am a visiting CB member. I'm from CB 14, and I am the chair of the Health and Human Services Committee there. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Freeman?
I'm Paul.
Whoa.
I'm Paul. I don't know what's going on with the sound here.
I'm just gonna have to mute Mr. Friedman while he gets his audio together.
Okay,
It's
Stanley?
Mr. Paul Friedman, Lincoln Roadblock Association.
Stanley?
Stanley Greenberg, CB9 Transportation Committee.
Paco?
Paco Abraham, also CB9 Transportation Committee.
Francesca?
Hi, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. I'm Francisco Leopold. I'm second vice chair, Community Board 9. I'm chair for Health and Social Services. And also in the community, I'm the president for the Lefferts Alliance Block Association.
Jesse?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jesse Cabrera. I am the outreach coordinator for DOT Bike Shared and Shared Mobility.
We see Janae. Janae?
Yes, hi, it's Janae, Janae Malloy, also with DOT Bike Share, one of the planners.
Dennis?
Dennis Soroshek. I'm president of the Brooklyn Bird Club and Lefferts Avenue president.
Okay, that's why the birds. Andy?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Andy Inglesby, Assistant Director for Government and Community Relations for MTA, New York City Transit. Hope everybody's well.
Thank you. Warren?
Hi, I'm Warren Burke. I am the first vice chair of CB9 and a wannabe member of the Transportation Committee.
Victoria?
Hello, I am Victoria Saylor. I am a resident of 50 Lefferts Avenue and also the president of our co-op board.
Suman?
Hello, I'm Shuman Ganguly. I'm a resident. I live on Sterling Street and member of the Transportation Committee.
Donna?
Hi, everybody. I'm Donna Fredrickson. I'm Deputy Director of Outreach for Paratransit. Nice to be here. Thank you for the invite. Hi, Andy.
Thank you for being here. Eva?
Hi, good evening. My name is Eva Ripito. I live at 50 Lefferts Avenue, and I'm here to request the speed bumps on Lefferts Avenue between Washington and Bedford. Thank you for your time, and thank you for everyone joining.
Thank you. Seth? Seth Kaplan? Jeffrey Thomas?
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Thomas. I'm just a resident. I live right across the border in CB 14, very close to CB 9.
Great. Callista?
Hi, my name is Callista. I'm a community member of CB9 Transportation Committee.
Hey, Diana?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diana Soriano from DOT Commissioner's Office.
Excellent. Michael?
Hi, a local resident of the community board. I live right off Flatbush, just looking to get more involved in the community.
Great, thank you. Did Seth come back? No? All right. So, oh, we have Dash. Oh, Dash is joining in. Okay, he's logging on, but Dash is also with the DOT, Dash Hanley. Great. So again, you know, in the interest of time, we're just going to move the agenda along, and I will be inviting right now DOT to do their presentation on City Bike.
Okay, thank you. Can I get the ability to share my screen?
Give me one moment.
Okay.
While Janae gets access, thank you everyone for allowing us to come today. Again, my name is Jesse. Janae is with me. She'll be giving the presentation. And we're going to be talking about City Bike's Phase 3 expansion into CB9. And this is actually a larger expansion that we're doing in Brooklyn this year. So we're also going to places such as Bed-Stuy, the north part of Crown Heights, and Ocean Hill. But I'll let Janae take it away from here.
All right, thank you, Jesse. So yeah, we're here to present the City Bike draft plan for expansion into Brooklyn Community Board 9. In our presentation tonight, we have it divided up into two parts. First part, we'll just do an overview of City Bike and bike share as a whole, as well as our planning process. And then in the second half, we'll take a look at the actual draft plan for CB9 and then leave time for questions at the end. So if that sounds good and everything, you guys can see my presentation, then I will keep going. So jump into the overview. So bike share basically is just a network of shared bicycles. It's mostly intended for point-to-point transportation. This is good for trips that might be too far to walk, but maybe too short for the subway or a cab or bus. The system operates 24/7, and it allows for people to be able to have and use a bike in the city without having to worry about storage or maintenance. So City Bike itself is part of a private-public partnership between DOT and Lyft. So us at DOT, we're responsible for the system planning and the outreach, and Lyft is responsible for the day-to-day operations and managing all of the equipment. City Bike is station-based, and these stations can be found in the roadbed or on the sidewalk. They are not hardwired into the ground, so there's no drilling or anything like that. And they use solar power and wireless connectivity. So just give an overview of the background of City Bike. It's been in operation for over 8 years now. We launched with phase 1 in 2013 in Manhattan and a portion of Brooklyn. That's the lightest blue color you see on the map here. And that was with 330 stations. Phase 2 was during 2015 to 2017, where we continued into Manhattan and Brooklyn and then ventured into Queens. And then phase 3, the darkest blue you see on the map, is the phase that we're in currently. And that's where we continue through the rest of Manhattan, further into Brooklyn and Queens, and then ventured into the Bronx. And once we finish phase 3, we will have doubled the service area of both phase 1 and 2. So in terms of ridership, City Bike has been pretty successful over the years with continued growth in number of users. We have over 145 million trips taken to date, and that's about 5 trips per day per bike. And that also includes about 160,000 annual members. So on this slide, we just have a breakdown of what the pricing options are. A single ride for $3.99. There's also a day pass for $15. And then a most popular option is the annual membership at $185 per year, or $15 a month. In addition to those, we also have a reduced fare option for NYCHA residents and SNAP recipients where they can sign up to use the service for just $5 a month, and that's with no annual commitment. And then there's also the Community Development Credit Union members who can also sign up for $5 a month, but that one is with an annual commitment. So in addition to reduced fare, Citi Bike also has a community grants program where they partner with different organizations that promote more cycling in the city. They provide them with partner keys and free ride codes for different events that are held around the city. So in terms of safety, DOT promotes cycling safety with helmet giveaways, as well as light and bell giveaways, and conducting safety awareness classes. It's also worth mentioning the 2019 Green Wave Plan, which focuses on improving bicycle infrastructure in the bike share expansion area. And then if you take a look at this picture on the bottom right, we have an example that all Citi Bike kiosks and bicycles do have the rules of the road posted on the bikes themselves, and like I mentioned, on the kiosks as well. So next we'll take a look at DOT's planning process. So our planning process can be broken down into these 4 main steps, and we'll get into those now. So first is station siting, and this is where we take a look at the area in question and try to create a dense network of stations across the service area. So the idea here and the goal that we try to work towards is that a user would be no more than a 3 to 5 minute walk to the nearest bike station. And this helps for the functionality of the system as a whole, but also makes it a convenient resource as well. And while doing this, we take into consideration things like hydrants, what utilities might be in the ground or on the sidewalk, maintaining accessibility, as well as several other factors. Next, we have public outreach. And so we conducted in-person outreach with another group, the DOT Street Ambassadors. Then we also had an online feedback portal, which is just an online web map that we have on our website where people can drop a pin to show where they would like to see a station in their area. They can also drop a pin to show where they don't want to see a station in their area. And then there is a space to leave any comments that they feel might be useful for us as well. In addition to that, we also have virtual stakeholder meetings that we conduct as well. And I'll say for this area, we had about 775 total comments collected last summer for all of the neighborhoods that we are considering for 2022. So next we get into the draft plan creation, the step that we're in now, which is where the station locations are determined. And we determine those by factoring in the community feedback that we received, the siting principles and guidelines that we have, as well as LIFT's operational considerations. Once we have all that information gathered together, then we present the draft plan of the stations to community boards like we're doing tonight. And then we post a copy of that draft plan online. So after we present the draft plan, we give about a month to acquire any additional feedback before we move on into the technical screening and coordination phase of actually designing the stations. Then after that, we move on to site-specific outreach and notifications. This is where we notify adjacent property owners at the locations where we plan to place a station. After that, we move into installation. And then once the station is on the ground, we continue to do outreach and monitoring, and then just make any adjustments that are necessary after that. Okay, so that was the first half of the presentation. Now we get into the draft plan for CB9. So on this slide, this is just an overview, and don't worry if you can't see it too closely, because in the next few slides, we're going to zoom into each section of the map to get a better view. I just wanted to mention here that a copy of the draft plan map will be available online at nyc.gov/bike share. So again, this is just overview look at the draft plan. And then we'll move on to the next slide where we'll zoom into the northwestern portion of the map. And here we have 9 stations, proposed locations, and these are indicated by the orange icons that you see on the map. The squares represent the proposed roadbed locations, and then the triangles are the proposed sidewalk locations. And then the letters that you see on the icons indicate which side of the street it'll go on. So you guys can see my mouse down here. So like, for example, this one would be a sidewalk location on the south side of Empire Boulevard. And like I said, there's 9 sites displayed here, and this is the northwest portion of the map. So I'll give a second for you guys to take a look before we move on to the next section of the map. Okay. So on this next slide, we're in the northeast section of the map. Here we have 7 proposed locations with the same setup, with the same types of icons here, roadbed and sidewalk. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. It's the southwest portion of the map. Here we have 12 proposed sites. Just for reference, this is over by Prospect Park. And then the next one, southeast portion of the map. And on this section, we're showing 11 proposed sites. And I believe that was, yes, our last one. Just want to thank you guys for your time. I'll leave the presentation up just in case you need to go back to any slides. But that is all that we had to present to you tonight. So I'll open it up for questions.
Right. I think I see Kalista.
Hi, pardon if I missed this, but what does the W stand? Oh, W is roadbed. Okay, because on the individual slides zoomed in, it didn't. They only had like a different letter. So never mind. I see it here.
No, so the letters represent the different sides of the street. So W would represent that it's on the west side of the street.
Gotcha. I missed that one in some of the individual slides for the zoomed in portions. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm looking for the hands for questions.
Hi, it's Warren Burke from the Community Board. I wasn't following this, but where do you have stations around Kings County Hospital?
Sorry, I couldn't really hear you.
I'm sorry.
You
I'm
mentioned
Warren
the
Burke.
hospital? Yeah.
Yeah, Kings County Hospital, where do you have stations around it?
Oh, you see, these are
screen.
the only ones we have proposed around Kings County Hospital so far.
Say that again, please.
If you're looking at the slide that I have up here, if I heard you correctly, did you mention Kings County Hospital?
Correct. because
Okay,
I
so
know-
these orange icons are the closest proposed locations that
Right.
we have so far.
So Warren, I see Winthrop and Albany.
Winthrop and
and,
what?
Winthrop and Albany.
Okay.
And I see New York and
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne.
New York and what?
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne.
Okay, all I'm saying is that Kings County Hospital employs 5,000 people. And I know that as a biker, bikes are used all the time. So I suggest you could put more bikes on Clarkson and Kings County, as well as Winthrop and East New York. I'm sorry, Winthrop and New York Avenue. And as well as looking at, we have Albany, so that's cool. But we need a lot of transportation. We have a lot of people who are working there. And I will tell you, the bike racks are full. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I took note of what you said. I think Jesse may have touched on that earlier in the presentation, that is part of a larger expansion phase as well. And so there will be opportunities to add more along Clarkson as new phases come along. But thank you for your comments.
And thank you.
Carmen, you have Francisca with a hand up, and then someone with the initial V, Paco, and then Stanley.
Okay, Francesca.
Francisca?
Hi, good evening again. My only concern is, I know previously for phase 1 and phase 2, the concerns were for parking. So for the roadbeds, I'm want to find out if it will affect parking, because as anything else in our neighborhood, parking is terrible. There are more cars in the neighborhood. So if when it comes to the roadbeds and the parking's been taken away from residents.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. That's definitely a challenge that we have just across the city as a whole, is maintaining that balance. I will say that we did our best to work as closely as we could with the borough's commissioner office to find locations that would be, most convenient, but also least disruptive as possible. And, while also accommodating the feedback that we received in this area. But I understand, because it is a challenge for space all around the city of New York, so. I'm not sure if there's any other comments or questions.
Okay, so who's V?
Hi, it's me. You had an earlier bullet point that said one of the considerations here is lift operational considerations. And I'm curious, what specifically are the operational considerations that go into this planning from Lyft?
Yeah, so some of the things that they want to take into consideration are like how I mentioned in the earlier slides, with the stations operating off of solar and wireless connectivity, they have their own systems of figuring out which areas will be good for that, like have the most sun exposure and things like that, because they are the ones who are responsible for the actual stations maintaining that equipment. So they'll let us know, like, this might be an area where it might be a challenge to do that. So, or it might not have as much sun exposure. So things like that.
Okay, thanks. Is there anything else other than solar?
They also just, in partnership with just how we plan things, want to make sure that we're reaching areas that receive high foot traffic. Like, it's not just in the middle of nowhere that's not like really seen by anyone or passed by lots of people. But they, defer to us as the planners for that, to make sure that we're connecting people to the resources that are most valuable in those neighborhoods, that are going to make the most sense for placing a kiosk there. That station, sorry.
Paco?
Hi there. I wanted to say thank you again for the presentation. And one thing that jumps out to me that I think is done pretty well, as I'm first just glancing at the map, is that it looks like there are stations pretty close to all the subway stops. And I think it can't be overstated how important City Bike can be for like multimodal trips, that just getting to the subway, you know, a 2-minute bike ride to get to the subway makes a 20-minute walk that much, you know, non-existent, and your subway trip is easier. So I think that kind of consideration is really useful. That said, one question I had was what it looks like at Parkside and Flatbush. You have the Parkside queue there, but you're citing a station at Parkside and Flatbush rather than Parkside and Ocean. I'm curious what the thought was there. And in tandem, I mean, there's more DOT at large note, but Parkside and Flatbush is it's a mess. The flexible bollards that are supposed to help tame traffic are ripped up as soon as they're put down, and you know, it's really messy there already. So I'm just curious, how do you think that a station there would just how would that work really?
Yeah, thank you for your comments on that. We did want to get as close to the Q train subway stop there as possible. There were some limitations just due to, I'm sure you're aware of the plaza that's there, that we didn't want to kick out all the tables and chairs that are creating a pleasant environment for people who utilize that plaza. So we had to work around that. The size of the streets and the intersection just in general, as well as some future projects that the Parks Department has on that corner that we couldn't really conflict with there. So we tried our best to get as close as we could, considering all of those factors. Like I said, even once the station is on the ground, we continue to monitor and make any adjustments. So if we see that, the corner of Parkside and Flatbush just really isn't working out, we can revisit that as well. And again, there are other opportunities to get closer to that subway station in future phases as we move into CB14. So it's not our only opportunity there.
Right. And in tandem with that, on the other spot on the queue, Lincoln Road and Ocean, I wanted to kind of cite the same thing that, I think we kind of need larger sidewalks there. The amount of people during a weekend for, Smorgasburg is insane. And, there needs to be more pedestrian space. I think it's really smart to, again, put a City Bike station right there. It will get heavy usage. But I don't know. I almost wonder, I guess there's still work ongoing at that triangle just to the right at Washington, where Washington, Flatbush, and Lincoln all meet. I think there's going to be expanded sidewalk there. I almost wonder if that's a safer spot where people can safely get a bike without, it takes a few feet to get the bike, roll it back, hop on it, and you don't want to be blocking all the pedestrians that are crossing into the park. So I wonder if that might be depending when that construction's done, I wonder if that might be a better option.
Yeah, we can definitely take note of that now. And as it's something that, is ongoing with especially other departments at DOT as they inform us of different street improvements or different projects that come down the pipeline, they'll tap us for opportunities there as well, to see where we could add an additional station or just reorganize what might be already on the ground. But yeah, we did get a lot of feedback to get in that area, Lincoln Road and Ocean Avenue. There was high demand for something in that area, so we tried to accommodate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Aaron?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, hey, I'm Jared Raleigh. Thanks so much for this presentation. I was sort of echoing off of what Paco said. I find that the Flatbush and Parkside stop is concerning to me. I find that biking up Flatbush to be quite dangerous and biking down Parkside to not be ideal. So then the only way, Parkside going west towards the park is kind of a sketchy bike ride. So the only place you can really go is east on Parkside from that location. To me, you need, I understand you guys have already commented on this, so I'm sort of repeating it, but it would be ideal to have a stop somewhere on Ocean Avenue, either in the park or near the park, so that people can get into the park with their bike or across the bottom of Parkside where there's a bike lane. But there's no bike lane between Flatbush and Ocean on Parkside, and it's a very dangerous bike ride. I do it a lot, but for more maybe novice bikers. Thank you for your presentation.
Yeah, and thank you. I wrote that down and we can take another look at that intersection in particular. And I know it's mentioned here because we were trying to get something kind of in the, like, this is a super block basically, and we were trying to accommodate people that live along Ocean Avenue on this side of the park. So we are continuing coordination with the Parks Department to see what we can put on their property. And so that's just kind of ongoing. So we have a bit of, that's why we have like a placeholder there to see what we can do in conjunction with, like I said, I think they have some projects coming down the pipeline that we want to see, you know, if there's space for it once those things are complete.
Thank you. Stanley?
Hi, I'm actually one of those people who live on Ocean Avenue, and I'm thrilled to have the station on Lincoln Road. And Paco, I think what you said was good, except that station on Lincoln is in the street. And I think that's a great location there because so many cars park in the crosswalk there. And since the station's in the street, we're not taking away any sidewalk. So I'm thrilled with that. I'm wondering if the pending station on Ocean is dependent on the new bike lane, which is still a couple of years away. So, you know, probably that could be revisited in a couple of years, but for right now, I don't know what the issue is. I know also that the entrance to the park at Parkside is eventually going to go away once the Shirley Chisholm Memorial is built. So that still could be a good place for a city bike station, but you won't be able to drive in, you know, trucks won't be able to drive in there. So that could be a good place for the future. But I'm curious what you're waiting for on the Ocean. What are the issues there? Do you know?
Yeah, so the reason why we are trying to coordinate to see what the future plans are, to see how much space we'll be able to work with there is kind of part of our practice is to try to get at like place stations at intersections. And because this like the cross of like two streets. And so here, because it's just one long street, we don't have a good spot there. One of the lanes is sometimes a moving lane, sometimes a parking lane. So there's that challenge as well. And then the conditions of the sidewalks that are there currently is also a challenge. So if you know, Parks was able to accommodate something in a shorter time frame, we're open to that discussion, but we're trying to, like I said, stick to what our guidelines are of visibility and access as well, but not forget other great opportunities like this along the park, because that was some of the feedback that we received, just to put something on both sides of the subway, not just everything on Ocean or everything on Flatbush. So we definitely want to get something on that side if we can.
Right. And you know, there are two small entrances to the park on that super block. So that might be one of the good places for them.
Right.
Great.
All things that we're discussing with Parks.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Raul?
Oh, hi, everybody. I was just wanted to pay some attention to the eastern side of the district, especially Utica there's not only the subway station at Eastern Parkway, but Empire Boulevard in Utica is a major bus transport, and that seems like it might also be something to consider. And I just want to reiterate that, like, to get people to Lincoln Terrace Park would be a really nice benefit of this as well. So yeah, just it's not just the subways, but also some major bus lines and other transport along Utica that could use extra bike connections.
Yeah, thank you. That was something else that was called out, that a trend that we noticed in the feedback as well. We're calling out certain bus lines that people wanted connections to. And similar to the Prospect Park situation, we do have a placeholder here next to Lincoln Terrace Park that we're coordinating with them currently about putting a station on Park's property. So that's why it requires further coordination. So we don't have an icon there just yet, but it definitely is a resource that we want to connect people to. So that is being discussed now.
And another quick thing, we also have stations on Eastern Parkway on the CB8 side, because technically, it's the dividing line, so it's not shown here. But there are also additional stations on Eastern Parkway and around Lincoln Terrace Park. But they just happen to be, on the opposite side of Rochester or Eastern Parkway, so they're not showing up on this map. But we have more in the CB8 area, and that, in addition to this map, the CB8 map is also available on our website.
Thank you. I think only left Calista and Jeffrey. Calista.
Hey guys, if you go back to the westernmost map that we were looking at before, not that one, the one with Parkside on it and Flatbush. So there's two stations on Flatbush Avenue, like directly in the middle between Lincoln and Parkside. And my only concern is that Flatbush can be pretty dangerous to ride down, especially if they're not advanced riders. So I just want to know what was the thought process behind that, because it's not like I just don't think it's a good idea with the current state of things, lacking in infrastructure for there to be two stations there that would encourage people to bike that stretch. Maybe if you were to put it like on Maple, on the sidewalk at that corner of Maple and Flatbush, because I mean, that's another weird lack of connection from Lincoln Road to Maple Street, but that would be a little bit easier considering there's a bike path there heading east, opposed to having something smack dab, right there, like the one near Fenimore Street. You have a driveway coming out from that tall tower right there. I just think it would be really hazardous.
Yeah, and thank you for your comments on that. We can definitely revisit the sites on Flatbush. I think there were some things like the grocery store and I believe bookstore and things like that that were along that stretch that were things that were called as things people wanted to connect to, but I understand there's some people who feel more comfortable riding on certain streets than others. I think there was also a pretty large width parking lane that seemed like this could fit within. That was metered parking. And so we took into consideration putting it there because of the restrictions of putting it on the sidewalk along that stretch. There wasn't enough space for that, but we can revisit Flatbush to see if there's any other opportunities maybe on those side streets that you were mentioning.
Thank you. And yeah, it just brings more attention to how much more infrastructure we need for pedestrians and cyclists, in this district. One other suggestion I have is that we could probably also use a station on Lefferts. Lefferts Avenue is a pretty wide street. It's not, chaotic compared to Flatbush, and, it goes two ways. So, it's a way for people to travel east and west as well.
Okay.
I think there is one already.
There is?
In the next thing up. It's not in this, it's in CB8 or whatever it would be.
For Lefferts Avenue?
These are the existing stations that we have currently. So this would be the closest.
Oh, okay. All right, I missed that one.
All right, thank you. Okay, we got Jeffrey. We have to move on. So Jeffrey Thomas.
Hi, just two hopefully quick questions. Do we know what the sizes of these stations are, especially for the ones by the park entrance and by some of the bus connections that were mentioned earlier on Eastern Parkway, et cetera? It seems like they are good spots, if possible, for some of the very large stations. And also, this question might be a little bit premature, but I know that the new style of electric bikes, they're saying those will in the future be able to recharge at stations. Are these stations going to be, are these locations, I guess, going to be able to support that?
Okay, so to your first question about the station sizes, we are not at that stage yet. First, we wanted to just like kind of lock down the locations. We do have a system that we use to analyze, you know, the level of demand for different areas, and I will say that it's pretty good at, you know, recognizing the demand for an area next to a subway or a park and things like that, or like a major institution like a college and stuff. So we are aware of, you know, needing a larger sizes at different like anchor sites like those. So that's definitely taken into consideration once we reach that stage. We just haven't reached that stage yet, and as we are in the draft plan. Jesse, I don't know if you were able to speak to his second question.
Yeah, and that's also a great question. So right now, the station that will be placed in CB9 will be just like the other stations, meaning that it's solar powered and that it doesn't connect to the grid, and therefore won't be able to charge the e-bikes directly in the station. You know, I think there are conversations being had about that by, you know, people that make much more money than me. So I think they're still talking about that. So for right now, the answer is no, but, you know, maybe down the line that might change. But this will be the same equipment that you see in Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens. So solar powered and not drilled, not connected to the grid.
All right, thank you. And thank you for the presentation.
All right, thank you. Nina?
Yes, so I know that the Flatbush Streets for People group has been talking a lot about, you know, some of these issues sort of from the other side, and regarding Flatbush Ave, I think that's one of the places where, you know, we've observed that like dedicated bus lanes could, you know, make a difference in terms of traffic and all the double parking and other chaos that goes on that street. And I know for myself, since I have to actually traverse Prospect Lefferts Gardens to get to a couple of the places that I work, I use Utica Ave. I use the bus lanes there in order to have a reasonably safe way to manage that north-south traverse when I need to go from, I guess it would be like Rutland Road or Winthrop Road down to Utica. The other question I had, I'm having a little trouble seeing some of the writing on the map. Is East New York Ave on the other side of Lefferts from the CB9 area? I'm sorry, I'm not able to see the street on the map.
Oh, sorry, I took it down a little too soon.
I just was trying to enlarge it enough to read it, and maybe it's my eyes, so I was just trying to figure that out. Just because I just wanted to point out that there is a bike lane going, I guess, east to west. And so, you know, that just seems like a really good location to have some city bike stations to move, you know, in that east-west direction from, at least from Utica to the park.
Yeah, and it's probably difficult to see here because of our legend, but yeah, I do see the bike lane that you're mentioning along East New York as you get over to Utica. And right now we have something it's a bit of a triangle, but Schenectady, Empire Boulevard, and Lefferts Avenue.
Okay.
Kind of on that end.
Okay.
See it here. But we can also revisit this area if it seems like we have opportunities getting a little closer to the park, but also, as Jesse mentioned, there are other locations cited, but they just fall outside of the CB9 area. And so it might be in CB8, which is not shown on here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Oh, I think you're muted if you're trying to speak, Carmen.
Sorry. No, I was saying, I see Paco, Warren, V, and Stanley are saying there was questions already. Are there follow-up or is there something else so that we can move on to our other presentation?
Quick follow-up.
Okay.
What's
your
the
follow-up?
timetable? When will we see bikes?
Yes. Oh.
Yes. So yeah, right now we're still finalizing that, but we're hoping to install these sometime in the fall. We are still sort of trying to pin down that timeline. And if that changes, we'll make sure to communicate that with the board. But right now it's looking like this, in a couple of months in fall.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Paco?
That sort of related to my question, but I think Nina mentioned she couldn't see something because the lines were so faint. When I was looking at it, the faint lines were the bike lanes, and I was realizing there are just so few bike lanes in CB9, and I'm wondering, to some degree, the success of a city bike station is, they're especially for novice riders who don't have their own bike, it's if there is bike infrastructure nearby that will make them feel safe to get to a city bike. So I'm curious, what kind of coordination do you have with the bike planning department? Like if you're talking about a fall installation of these bikes, have you coordinated with DOT bike planning unit to know, are there going to be even proposals for new bike lanes coming anytime this year? Or are these few green faint lines on the map going to be all that's it?
Yeah, we definitely work with our bikes and greenways to make sure, like, how Janae was mentioning, like there's that project that's going on Ocean, things like that, to make sure that, wherever they're doing projects, we can support that and vice versa. I'm not 1,000% sure, but I know that Diana and Dash, who are both from DOT's Borough Commissioner's Office, so they have like a better overview of like everything that's going on. They might be able to better provide any insight on that, but yes, the short answer is yes, we try to work as much as possible, but I'm not 1,000% sure, what the bikes and like specifics on, any bike infrastructure that the bikes and greenways have, but I'm sure that whatever sort of projects will be definitely brought up to, you guys at the community and the board as a whole. Before moving forward.
Thank you.
Warren, you have something?
Yes, I do. And I apologize for not saying this before. And this is on behalf of the board. The first thing is bike equity, which has been mentioned. And I have not seen a number of new bikes in our district. And I think that's extremely important to encourage younger people to ride. Considering the whole advent of e-bikes and blah, blah, blah. So, I just want to say that we need the newest technology, and I don't see why more bikes aren't being put here. The second comment I have is in terms of community outreach. And one thing I'd like you to consider, and I don't need an answer, is what are you doing to encourage our high school and college people to utilize the banks? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have to move on. I see Mr. Kaplan, you have a question, but we have to move on to the next presentation.
And I will say, like, we can definitely take more questions at our email address. Unfortunately, I don't see a chat function to drop any links, but in general, if you email us at bikeshare@dot.nyc.gov or visit our website at nyc.gov/bikeshare. You can find our email address there. You can find the maps. You can ask us more questions. And again, yeah, we'll be accepting feedback basically until the end of June. And we
I just had a quick comment, to say that I agree with Callista about those stations at Fenimore and Midwood. I really hope that you take a look at those. Those do not look like good spots. Thank you.
Okay, I noted that down for those Flatbush stations. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for the presentation. I'm talking, right? Thank you for DOT for the great presentation. Want to thank all of the participants that had great questions. You know, again, we always happy to have DOT come to our meeting and share information. Please pose whatever questions you did not get a chance to ask live here to the links in the website and the email addresses that are being provided. Thank you so much. So again, we must move on now to our New York City Transit Authority to do their presentation on Access-a-Ride. Thank you.
Thanks, Carmen. Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm Andy Inglesby, Assistant Director for Government and Community Relations. It's always a pleasure to be here at CB9, even though we're virtual tonight. But thank you for the opportunity to come and give you guys an update on paratransit. I'm joined by my colleague, Donna Fredrickson from Paratransit. And in the interest of time, I'm just going to ask her to take it away. Donna, I don't know if you need to share your screen.
I do. Thank you again for asking me to join you tonight, Andy. It's nice to see all of you. I thank you for the communication regarding Ms. Ward, a member of your community board. And so I do want to tell you, we've had multiple conversations and I was able to assist her. I hope she shared that information with you all, or with at least you, Ms. Martinez, to let you know what we've done to assist her. In fact, we spoke on Monday as well to see how everything went this weekend with her trips. So
okay. Thank you.
Usually I do a PowerPoint presentation, but in the effort to save some time, I'd like to bring all of you to our website so that you too can be great advocates to help others in negotiating how to and navigating how to apply for the service and how to utilize the service. And what if you do have a problem with the service, how to report it to us. So if you don't mind, I'd like to share my screen.
Yes, I've made you co-host.
Who is that?
So this is our website. If you just put in mta.info, you can get to our website. So again, just putting in mta.info into your browser. And then right here in the left-hand corner, everybody can see this, is the menu bar. If you click on that and just drop down 5, there's our link to Access-a-Ride Paratransit. So once again, once you get to mta.info, you just scroll down the menu to Access-a-Ride Paratransit. And that's the website. And the reason why I'm bringing you here is that everything you need to know about Access-a-Ride and more can be found here, including our most recent updates or information to our customers. We do distribute an online newsletter 4 times a year. Unfortunately, we are unable to mail it to our 166,000 customers in the effort of time and timeliness of getting that message out. But I'll be happy to include you in our distribution list and make sure that you get our newsletters. But let me just walk you through this if I might. I just want to minimize this, see if I can. I cannot, there we go. Okay, so it says, welcome to Access-a-Ride. And let me just tell you a little bit about Access-a-Ride. Access-a-Ride operates within the 5 boroughs of New York City. It also extends within the 3/4 mile corridor between fixed route services across the New York City borderline with Nassau County and Westchester counties. It is a shared ride program, which means you may be sharing a trip with someone else going in the same direction as you. It's an origin to destination service or feeder service for eligible customers. That means we pick you up and take you directly to your destination if you are registered to do that. There are non-priority trips and there are maximum ride times based on the distance of trips. What does that mean? It means Access-a-Ride is public transportation. So anyone who has a disability is eligible and can apply for the service. And again, there are no priority trips. We're trying very hard to provide service just like our subways and buses are to all of our customers who are eligible. We operate 24/7. every day of the year. And all throughout COVID, the beginning of COVID, we were there to get our customers to essential services, including dialysis and chemo treatments that they had to maintain. So again, anyone can apply for the service. We follow federal guidelines from the Americans with Disabilities Act. So this is our website. And again, if you go here, we have our phone directory. So everything you need about this, everything I just said, you can find here. And you can also find our phone directory. So if you know someone who's interested in applying for the service, perhaps they may have a long-term disability, or maybe they broke their hip, or like myself, who uses Accessoride, I had a knee replacement. I just have it temporarily for a year while I heal. So again, if you have a disability that's preventing you from using the subway or the bus, you can apply for the service. So this is our phone directory, and it's important that our customers keep these phone numbers in their cell phone. We've often pre-COVID attended events where we helped some folks put this number at the top of their contact list, but it's 877-337-2017. And of course, if you're out of the area code, our New York metro area, you can call 718-393-4999. We offer everything in multiple languages. And you can, if you're not sure, if you want to speak to someone in your language, you definitely can request that during that time. So these are again, our different numbers to call. So that's the regular number. You'll get the menu and you'll hear the prompts to go to different locations, from making a trip to, again, applying for the service. And also very important, because we operate 24/7, you can always reach someone 24/7 in travel services. And that's prompt number 5. Some folks say, well, Accessoride was closed and I couldn't get help finding my vehicle. Well, that's not true. You press prompt number 5, someone is there 24/7 to help you locate your vehicle if you do not have our app or the ability to go online to do that. So again, I just wanted to show you a little bit about our website. Again, each box gives you something else very interesting about the service, like how to apply. Again, people can call Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 to start the application process. Everyone who applies for the service must come in for an assessment. We provide transportation to and from the assessment for you and what we call a PCA, or a personal care attendant, for free. And we'll work with you to set those up within the borough you live. So that's about, and then we have information here about how to travel on Accessoride. The fares for Accessoride, the same as full fare on buses and subways, $2.75. If you do need to travel with someone for assistance, you can indicate that in your application, and we call that person a PCA. Accessoride providers are both our blue and white vans, which you may see around the city. We also provide service with our broker service, which are for hire vehicles, and also green or yellow taxis, both WAVE, which means wheelchair accessible vehicles or taxis, and standard cabs. And again, this is some great information about how to travel on Accessoride. So again, we can all, at your leisure, take a look at each one, especially here on the day of your trip, what to do if you're having difficulty when you're traveling. There's more about our Paratransit Advisory Committee and who serves on the Paratransit Advisory Committee. And also, here's our most recent 2022 Guide to Accessoride Paratransit Service. Again, on the opposite side, you'll find the most recent information under our On the Move AAR newsletter. And this is what I was about before. And you'll see this comes out quarterly. We had a special edition just released last week, which gave some very important information about some changes and some actually restoration of service pre-COVID. So again, this is great information. If you just want to give somebody one thing, it's the most recent edition, because there you also have our terrific phone directory with links back to the website for each topic, for each area. And finally, I do want to talk about how to make a complaint or how to submit concerns to us. And we actually have a box here for that: commendations, complaints, or suggestions. You can always call us, again, the toll-free number, the 877 number, and press prompt number 8, Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 to give a commendation or a complaint or a suggestion. You can always write to us and send it to 130 Livingston Street, or you can go to our online complaint form or feedback. And I just clicked on the link there, and you can put in anything regarding any service with the MTA, including Access-a-Ride paratransit service. So there are different ways in which to submit a complaint. Of course, you can always reach out to Andy, who reaches out to me for assistance, and I'm very happy to help. There's other interesting information here about our policies and forms. We have a new form that allows folks who get taxi authorizations to go online to submit that request for reimbursement, which is a great tool that you can help others with if you wish. Again, there's other information regarding policies and appeals. And then over here, also here, resources and announcements, where I just went to find out our newsletter. But if you scroll down a little more there, you will find interesting information about the app and how to load the app onto your phone or to use MyMTA, which is a great way to book your trips and monitor your service on the day of your trip. I use it. I love it. I can see where my vehicle is. I don't have to talk to anybody. I can book my trips that way. But there's a lot of great information here, and I encourage everyone to take a moment to look at it, to learn a little more about what Access-a-Ride is. And of course, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I see Warren has a question.
Yes, hi. Thank you for a great presentation. I have a diagnosis and I advocate for a lot of people with mental health disabilities, as well as I'm on certain boards of the Department of Mental Health, etc. And I do hear a lot of complaints about Access-a-Ride. And I'm not being negative here, but how do you handle these, and how do you not have people waiting an hour? What happens then? Do you use some sort of system to communicate with them to say your ride's being delayed? Because things happen. So how do you handle that stuff?
Okay, thank you, Warren. Yes, so same day issues. So in other words, there's two different things you're asking here. How do we resolve complaints? Well, we have a team in customer relations that once that complaint is filed through our comment line or our online, or comes in a letter, or comes, like I said, from our government relations team, we investigate it from there and reach out to the customer to get more details. However, if it's a same day issue, the folks at number 5, prompt number 5, our travel service team, can help that individual. And again, you have to call in and you speak with someone and they'll try their best to help. So there's two ways in which we try to help our customers with issues. Number one, if you need to file an official complaint, I always say, do it when you're home and safe. Give us a call or go online to do that so we can take it to the next level and take a look at, perhaps it's a trip that didn't go well and you want to understand why. Maybe it's your overall service you want looked at and some suggestions on how it can be improved. Maybe it's a commendation for a driver who was especially nice, or an operator whom with you spoke to was very helpful. So again, we need to know, we get hundreds of complaints every day. I myself also work on complaints, like I did with Miss Ward's complaint that was brought to my attention. I try my best to do a full investigation and speak with the customer to get their perspective and understanding. Sometimes it's misinformation. Sometimes we've done something that we need to correct. Sometimes we don't even have updated contact information. I just had a customer the other day was very upset. His social worker from dialysis contacted me. We ended up not having the right phone numbers on record for him. So that's why the vehicle, when it arrived, never could reach him. We didn't have the right phone number. So we adjusted things and corrected things, and the people still keep in touch with me if anything else goes wrong or if things go well. So I hope that answers your question.
No, thank you. And that's my major concern, is how are the immediate problems, settled or worked. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Raul?
Hi, well, thank you so much for coming to this discussion. And thank you, CB9, for holding this discussion. I was in touch with Ms. Ward, and it really seemed like she had so many complaints and so many problems, and it seemed to be, just for her to wait hours over and over again, and really for her, she couldn't sleep the day before if she had to go to a doctor's appointment or do something because she was so stressed out about this. So I just, I was just very moved by her situation, and I know it's not just her. So sorry, I missed the beginning of your presentation. I have other things, forcing my son to play violin. So it was
with Miss Ward, Raul, after we spoke multiple times?
I spoke with her today, and she was very grateful that she'd been heard, and I was that was a big relief for me. So I mean, so I have to say it was really an effort because it seemed implacable, the problems that she was facing, but she seemed much relieved. But I still want to stay on top of this too and make sure that
she has my direct number, Raul.
Oh my God.
Whenever she travels, she's to call me, and
Wow.
I'll be happy to ask the team to monitor her trip along with the other 24,000 folks we have traveling almost every weekday. So we are here to help her. I think there's a little misinformation about what the service is, especially with the restoration of shared rides. A lot of folks don't like being in the vehicle, but I was happy to share with her that as of the 31st, people can make reservations as appointment times, which will help her very much in getting that direct trip she needs.
Great. And if you can just follow up with me too, so I can, kind of spread this information, because I mean, she was very, she was proactive in this, and I'm sure a lot of other people are not, and just kind of not knowing what to do. And if we could help spread some information around, I think that would help people a lot in our neighborhood. So thanks again. And I assume do you have my email information as well?
Andy, you'll be able to
this,
get me
this
that?
is Andy. I do.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Great. Thanks a ton.
Thank you.
I appreciate it very much.
And Raul, just so you know, they have been invited to participate on June 4th and disseminate information about Accessorize. So
that's
the
phenomenal.
community will
That's
have an
phenomenal.
opportunity to get information.
I'll help spread the word about that too.
Thank you. Paco?
Yeah, I'm curious about data. And sorry if I had to step away for a minute. I apologize if I missed it, but it's been years since I've had experience with Accessorize, but my dad was on dialysis, and it was 3 times a week, and when he couldn't drive anymore, he was using Accessorize all the time. And granted, this was a few years ago, and I am hoping the system has vastly improved, but like the few times I joined him on the Accessorize trip, like it was never a good experience, and it caused a lot of tension. And I know also on the planning side, it's hard. Sometimes a dialysis session goes longer than expected, so I get that there's many complications, but I think the intent, of course, is to deliver great service, get people safely from point A to point B as often as possible. But on the larger level, I'm curious, like the way the MTA does the on time of every train coming in, like how far, how many minutes before, on time percentage, let's say, for trips with a subway line. is there something similar that you can see kind of the access-ride system as a whole for how, I guess, where it was perhaps during the time that I was involved, but where it is now and how it's constantly trying to improve? Because I know obviously everyone wants to be safe, people need appointments, and access-ride is very much needed. It's a great service. There's always going to be some hiccups along the way, but if we're looking at just the data macro level, like, oh, 90% of our trips are delivering a customer from, within 20 minutes, because I think Warren mentioned, or Raul mentioned too, especially in inclement weather, someone waiting an hour outside and they can barely stand, they have no bench, like, it becomes a big deal when something's not on time. And I don't think anyone's trying to not be on time, but I think maybe showing those numbers might really help the agency demonstrate the way that it's trying to always improve.
Well, Paco, that's an excellent idea. And guess what? We believe in transparency too here at Paratransit. And you can view those numbers at any time on our dashboard at our website, mta.info, and just click on transparency. And you'll find the most recent numbers in regards to our on-time performance, which are in the 90s. I think it was 95% on-time performance. But I also encourage the community board members to please join the virtual board meetings where our new VP gives reports regarding this, as well as reading our Paratransit Advisory Committee minutes, where those reports are also issued. So nothing's a secret in regards to whether or not we're doing a good job and where we're failing. We really try to focus that and read those reports and look at those reports daily, and also present it to the public in those forums. So I do encourage you to take a look at that. A lot has changed with Access-a-Ride, including our GPS, which we call AVLM, Automated Vehicle Locating Monitor, which is GPS on all of our vehicles. So we can see exactly where the vehicle is at any given time and be able to tell whether or not that trip has performed as it has been scheduled to do. So these are all important things. The service is quite large. It has grown larger than we ever expected during the pandemic. Over 6,000 more customers joined us during the pandemic for various needs, and we're here to serve. So please, Andy, do you have anything else to say about our transparency?
No, Donna, I think you covered it. Yeah, I mean, we're certainly not looking to hide any numbers. So, but it's a great tool, as Donna said, on our website. It has a lot of information. So we just invite everybody to to take a look when they have the time.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much for that presentation, and to the attendees for your question. Andy, it's good to see you. It's been a long time.
Yes.
So glad to see you still there, and hopefully we'll stay in communication, and you guys will participate on Saturday at the resource fair. So
yeah, Carmen, I'm gonna call you when I get an update from my colleague who's supposed to be there. I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Great, thank you. All right, so thanks so much again, and nice meeting you, Donna. If I hear any other complaints, I'll make sure to direct them to you.
Absolutely, I love the challenge, and I love to help our customers. I really do.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a very interesting discussion beforehand, so thank you for that. I always learn something at these meetings.
Okay. Well, yeah,
I'm ready to come
bike
again.
and bike lanes. Everybody wants to know about that issue.
Yeah.
So thanks again.
Nice meeting you all. Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone. Have a great evening.
Okay, we'll talk, Andy. Thank you. So now we're going to move into all business, and one of the issues that has resurfaced is the speed humps situation on Lefferts Avenue. Francesca, the president of the Block Association, is online. So I will invite, is it Eva that's going to speak? Whoever is going to speak concerning the speed hump?
Yeah, I'm happy to kick it off, but I recognize that there's a lot of residents from Lefferts, this one block, on the phone, and I appreciate that the president of Lefferts 1 or the Block Association is on. So I will welcome any input from other people as well, because I think this is a block-wide concern. And other people have ideas as well. So should I go from there, Carmen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And I wonder if the DOT representatives are still on. I know this is probably not their wheelhouse, but or up their alley. Okay, or other puns related to streets, but I would
No, I
welcome.
think they gone. I don't see.
It is up their
left.
wheelhouse,
Yeah.
but they're not here.
Okay, so it's too bad that this is an old business, because I think this is a really important issue and something that's been brought up several times. And I just don't, you know, as a lay person, not in city government, I don't know why this is still an issue that can't be resolved. But, you know, our block, I'm referencing the block of Lefferts Avenue between Washington and Bedford Avenues. It's effectively an off and on ramp for Flatbush Avenue. We are so close to Flatbush. Cars fly around the corner, fly into our block, or fly off Washington. And, you know, I have a neighbor who just emailed me that he can't make it, but he lives on the front of the building and of 50 Lefferts Avenue, and says he hears cars gunning it all day, all night long to get through the lights at Washington or Bedford. It is a high speed block. Speed is recognized by the city. We have Vision Zero to reduce death fatalities, and it's largely predicated or based on the fact that people drive really fast. And the neighborhood knows it. Our blocks north, immediately north and south, Sterling and, excuse me, I'm getting it wrong. What's the block north of Lefferts? Sterling, yeah.
Yeah, Sterling Street.
And thank you. And Lincoln Road both have speed bumps, as does the block of Lefferts immediately east. Maybe I'm preaching to the choir here, but I got my talking points anyway. The block immediately east of this block has speed bumps. So, you know, we know that it's a problem. Our block also has, while we have residential on the north side with a lot of driveways where cars back in and out, we also have 3 large multifamily apartment buildings, which means the population density on our block is greater than that of the next block over, which actually has speed bumps. So we have a lot of people on this one block. We also have at least 2 daycares within, on the corner of Lefferts and Washington and across on Flatbush and Lefferts that I know of. There could be more small kid facilities on the block that I don't know of, but we have a lot of little children. We have schools north of Empire that kids walk to. Kids are constantly crossing at Washington and Lefferts. And there's a huge need for speed reduction on this block for, again, the population density, the nature of the people, their small kids, families. And as someone mentioned earlier, we don't even have a bike lane yet. We have we're a 2-way street. It's like an open highway for people driving, and it's unloading kids from a car is terrifying. I emailed, I came to the community board, I think 2 years ago before COVID, and appealed for street traffic calming measures at the intersection of Washington and Lefferts by the gas station there. I don't know the progress on that. I also emailed DOT about that and got nowhere. My more recent email to DOT was turned down for very vague, inconclusive reasons. They took into consideration it's unsuitable. I emailed back to ask for something more specific. I have not heard back, and I'm just asking DOT that if they really want to reduce traffic fatalities, I don't want my kids to be the first death on this block to, really push for that change. I don't think anybody on this block wants anyone that they know to be the first death that really enacts change here. I would ask them to match policy with practice. What needs to happen to prove that our block is truly dangerous, other than all of the community coming out and saying that they hear and they see cars just flying down the street? And I'll say one last thing. I've heard that it could be a fire department, throughway. I rarely see fire engines. I'm not saying they don't, but I rarely see them going down our block. I routinely see them coming up Lincoln Road. Lincoln Road is a connector to Ocean Avenue. It goes right across. So that's a way to get north-south. But they have speed bumps. So I really want to know why we can't have them. And if we if that's not a good enough reason, then when can we have them? Thank you. And I invite anybody else from our block to chime in if you'd like. Thank you,
just have
Carmen.
One quick thing to piggyback on everything that
Sure.
Eva said. I'm not sure if you guys are already aware of this, but the gas station, the BP station, serves as an area where people with sort of the bikes, like the street bikes, dirt bikes, ATVs, they congregate there and then they speed up and down Lefferts Avenue on their bikes. They don't care about the speed cameras. I mean, certainly these bikes are illegal anyway. So they all sit there at the gas station. They wait until they like get whatever mass of vehicles together, and then they rip around the neighborhood, especially down Lefferts, because we're right next to that gas station. And I think that presents as large of an issue as the vehicles that speed up and down the street, the more traditional like cars, right? Because these are people who most likely don't even have licenses and aren't supposed to be on these vehicles to begin with. So it sort of lends a layer of disregard to rules in general. So I think that's another layer on top of the concerns that Eva so well articulated already.
Hi, everyone. I'm Francesca Leopold. I'm the president for the Block Association. I have two blocks, Block 1 and Block 2, which starts from Rogers Avenue to Bedford and from Bedford to Washington. And Eva, I am in agreement with you. Julie have been working with me very closely from 43. It's almost 6 years, almost 6 years since we submitted the application. And Ms. Martinez, she will attest to that. The report came back that it was approved, and then we heard, and for some reason that I really don't agree with, that it was not approved. Now, as Eva just said, just to run over, persons are trying from Rogers Avenue, when they cross Nostrand coming towards Rogers Avenue, when they get to the lights, they look down on Bedford and see the light, they try to beat the light, and they speed down. When they get to Bedford and they look down Washington, they try to beat the light down there as well. Persons have been hurt on Washington Avenue, and Julie knows about that. At least on the same side as 50 Lefferts, a number of cars, rows of cars were destroyed, damaged on that side with someone driving up coming towards Bedford Avenue. Okay, now I am wondering, here it is when I put in the first application that went in for Lefferts between Rogers and Bedford, it was approved, right? Then there are speed bumps also on Lefferts from Rogers to Nostrand. So my question I have been asking, what's the difference? What's the big deal that, what's the difference from Bedford to Washington? And that's the question you have. I know Ms. Martinez, she have been interceding on our behalf with DOT, and we cannot get a reason as to why, we cannot get this speed bump. The last time we thought, because I went and I think it was Falls Hope, I met with Julie and I was talking to say, hey, the speed bump is approved and hopefully, later down in the year. And not only that, because we have 100 Lefferts, we have 50 Lefferts, we have a church right in the corner, and then this is the summertime and we have children going outside. And then even the other apartment buildings, their entrance are on Lincoln Road, but they still have children and still have persons who are utilizing the back entrances of those buildings. So you have at least 5 or 6 apartment buildings down there. And instead of, we collected signatures and everything. Instead of installing those speed bumps, which are so important for us, I didn't even know. It was Miss Martinez who brought it to my attention that there is a camera on the block. I didn't even know that there was a camera on the block. That this camera, what it does, it generates money for the city. But what about the safety of the residents? And I think that we need to bombard DOT. We need to come together, do something different. because I know a whole lot of the residents have been calling, they have been reaching out, they've been reaching out to the board. Ms. Martinez and I, we have had dialogue concerning that. And I know, as I told Julie, hey, call GOT, just have everybody on the block, you know, and come together, put the letters, send in letters. But there is something that I don't have the answer. I don't know what else to do, you know, because it makes no sense that even when they spoke about the fire truck, what's about when the fire trucks come up Lefferts, they have to come up from my block as well. They are not diverting to go anywhere else. So it really doesn't make any sense. The reason that they give for not to install those speed bumps. So we have to take drastic measures because this is summer again, you know, and then it's the same thing. We have to face the same thing, and it is such a shame. Almost 6 years that we've been waiting for those speed bumps to be installed. So I don't see why it was approved and then they pull it back. It makes no sense to me.
I think we all agree with you.
Yeah, well, I
If there's
mean,
any-
the reason why, you know, I say, well, it's all business because this is something that the committee have dealt with. And I know that there is an approval, I believe it was an email from Claudette. And there was also correspondence to Polly, the former commissioner. There's been correspondence to Borough Commissioner Bray. And as of recent, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they approved speed hump for Lefferts between, is it New York and Brooklyn? I know it's up there. And when
New York Nostrand, they just approved.
Right, and when I saw the letter, the copy of the email, I believe whatever it was, and I said to Dante, I said, well, this doesn't make any sense. I said, it doesn't make any sense that the whole strip on Lefferts seemed to be able to get approval for speed hump, and there seems to be an issue with Washington and Bedford. I said, so this needs to be looked into, because if they now giving it to Lefferts between Nostrand and New York, then what's the problem with Bedford and Washington? So I need to follow up to see if anything was done after that, but it left me with scratching my head. Then one of the answers that was given one time was that Board 9 had not endorsed it or supported, which was totally untrue. And that was also told to DOT. So that instead of the speed hump, yeah, they install a speed camera, which I just discovered one day when I turned the corner and I'm driving up and I'm like, what's that? And I looked up and I said, oh my God, I said, there's a speed camera. So the fact that they install a speed camera is an admission by DOT that they know they're speeding on the block, because speed cameras they're not put on randomly. They're done because of speed. So they are aware. So I think what we need to do is get to the bottom of what is the issue with Lefferts between Washington and Bedford. It's not about ambulance, it's not about fire truck, it's not about anything, because if you coming down, let's say you're coming down from Utica Avenue, whatever, or you going straight down Lefferts, there's speed bump. So if you're a fire truck and you're on Lefferts, you're gonna run into speed bump all the way until you get to Bedford and Washington. So I don't know what the situation is. I will raise it up again with Dante tomorrow, because I do know that when I saw that approval for Nostrand, between Nostrand and New York, I did raise the issue that this really now requires for us to get to the bottom as to why is the Lefferts between Washington and Bedford keeps getting denied and other blocks up Lefferts are getting approval. So that is just mind-boggling to me. Yes, Paco.
I have two comments to make. Three comments to make. One, I fully support everyone who's spoken in support of Safer Lefferts. Eva, I think you spoke beautifully, and I have two little kids myself, and I don't want my kid to be the death that prompts action. It's ridiculous that DOT knows the dangers and doesn't it's just so it's designing for conflict only. It's not designing actually for safety. So I support all of this and anything. I'm on Lincoln Road, 1 block past, so I'm often on Lefferts. My 10-month-old, her daycare is on Lefferts and Rogers. It's dangerous. So I support it. The second comment is, you said 6 years ago you made the request for a speed hump, and like we've had terrible council representation for so many years. I think we now have much stronger council representation. So I'm curious if any of the residents have engaged with Rita Joseph, who is very much a fan of Vision Zero and safer streets, and I think she wants to get stuff done and will be a rabble rouser to the proper agencies. So if she hasn't been approached already, I would very much recommend reaching out to her, and maybe us as a CB can do the same, or invite some of her staff to come to upcoming meetings. Maybe we liaise over the summer and try to get her, or get Rita Joseph herself at a future transportation committee meeting. And then thirdly, I would challenge the premise of like, why a speed hump? There's speeding on every block that also has speed humps. I think that they help. I don't know if they do enough. Lefferts is very, very wide. I mean, I know when I'm driving, like I know I slow down at the speed hump, but it's very easy to go very high above the speed limit when you're not at the speed hump. And there's only 2 on a block or something. So I wonder if like, I've come to disagree with the piecemeal approach to safety, as if we only live on our 1 block and never leave it. Like I don't want to die on this block or the next block or the block after that. So Lefferts is very much a corridor that cuts through CB9. I'm wondering why we don't get a much bolder request and hopefully a bolder presentation and response as to how to make a safer Lefferts, not on this block, not on that block, but on Lefferts across the board. And then also recognizing that it is so wide, speed bumps are not, lane markings are not, the wider your space is, if it feels like a highway, you're going to drive like it's a highway. So I wonder, could we use some of that space in a different way for, I don't know, whatever the community wants or needs. But I would challenge to, not give up the fight for a speed hump, but maybe that's setting the bar way too low. I would say, can more be done? Because no one should feel safe on their street or crossing to the next one.
Well, and maybe someone here can speak of it, but I do believe that when there was requests for projects for participatory budget for the 40th, Lefferts and other blocks have submitted proposal for funding for speed hump, not just on Lefferts, but there was Lincoln, there was Midwood, there was a whole lot of other streets that were suggested for funding for speed hump. So I don't know who initiated that project, and I guess it wasn't funding, because the last thing I heard, they spending money doing renovation up parade ground. I believe that was one of the winning projects, but did it ever even get on the ballot? Because I think there's like a ballot that did the proposal and people vote on it.
I don't think it got on the ballot. Speed humps cost some money. The amount of money for participatory budgeting is not a lot. And I think it's a good program. It gets people activated. It's always a school project that wins because there's a constituency for it. To me, it's a good program. It's also kind of silly that we're all competing for all these things that all need to be done. That is one approach to get it on a PB budgeting, but I think DOT is just, they're not making the case. They're not even here right now, right? They're not making the case to me that they're actually concerned about the safety on CB9, because within CB9, because we've raised these same streets, we all know the streets that have speeding. I think it's great that so many residents of 50 Lefferts are organized, and that there's there's people trying to work together on it. But we've known this for years. Lefferts has speeding, Nostrand has speeding, Rogers has speeding, Lincoln Road has speeding. I've not seen real changes within CB9 in many years that I would say actually speak to that rise to the level of the danger that we face on our streets. So I think a lot more needs to be done. Certainly organizing like this is powerful. I think tag teaming with Councilwoman Joseph would be even more powerful. You know, I think calling DOT out a lot more, frankly. Like you mentioned letters from Polly before and said Keith Frey has been there the whole time.
Yeah.
He you know, like, why are we not getting the services that basic services that we need? I mean, to ask to be safe on your street is not really asking for a lot.
Yeah, well, I think, and again, I'll reach out to Dante tomorrow. I think the board needs to partner up with Councilmember Rita Joseph, particularly because, and I think I forwarded the committee members an article that came out on Patch about how the city council is pushing for all these speed humps on the street that, either lead into park entrances or something. So there is monies because every year we put it in our fiscal, in our need assessment, and it always comes back, it needs further study, it needs further study. But if they're proposing installing all of these speed humps throughout our Plagna and Crown Heights, but they're talking about only streets that are leading into entrances of park, which, you know, I guess that qualifies Lincoln because Lincoln leads into an entrance to Prosper Park. But I
They'll
would
deny
think
it there
that,
because of the bus, though. I'm sure they'll deny
Yeah.
a speed hump on that block because all the buses are there.
yeah,
Like,
right, because you have all of the
Right.
buses. I'm sorry. So, Julie, you have your hands raised.
I just want to just interrupt it before Julie speak. Victoria and Eva, I will stop by to see you sometime during the weekend, so we can have, you know, a little bit more dialogue as to, you know, what we can do further.
That'd be
I have
great.
to jump on another meeting right now, but Julie have my number.
Thank you,
so
Fran.
if anything,
Yeah,
you're
thank
welcome.
you.
Julie has my number, so if you need to contact me, because she can always give you my number, but during the weekend I'll come to see you, okay?
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much.
Carmen.
Thank you. Julie, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I don't have a lot to add. I just wanted to thank Eva for speaking so beautifully about our need, and for Fran for all of her work for our block and everybody else. And I agree with my neighbor on Lincoln that this is the bare minimum. I don't understand why we should have zero tolerance for reckless driving. Nobody has the right to drive the way so many people drive on this block. The city needs to prioritize pedestrians, bicyclists. I have a car. I mean, I'm not saying I'm against drivers, but safe driving and the lack of enforcement for a city with this many people and pedestrians is an outrage. And the fact that this has been sitting for 6 years, I keep checking in with Fran, and it's been approved. I'm not blaming her at all. It's this holdup. And so I think thank you very much for following up with Dante tomorrow. I think we need to know specifically, what can we do to place pressure? We have hundreds of people who live on this block. What can we do to place the pressure and get what we need that's a bare minimum to ensure safety for the people who live on this block? I happen to be one of those houses with a driveway. I put on my blinker to pull into my driveway, and people pass me on the left as if I'm a nuisance because I need to stop, and that they have some sort of right to just cross over as if this is like a 2-lane highway. Completely, we need as a city to have zero tolerance for this. And so please let us know very soon what we can do to place the pressure on elected officials and anybody else, on government officials, anybody that we can, and we appreciate your help.
Thank you. We will. Eva?
I'm sorry, that was the applause. I was just
Oh.
trying to show support, and I should have done it for everyone, but thank you, Julie.
So again, I would definitely reach out to Dante, and between Dante and I, we will work on reaching out to Rita Joseph to get her assistance in trying to get DOT to be responsive. There is a new commissioner, so we will also reach out to the new commissioner, Yanez Rodriguez, to see if he would kind of, be more receptive than the previous administration. But we will do all that we can, even if we would, if we have to put some kind of resolution together as a board and send it to DOT to just dispute, whatever denials they have come up with, and just use samples of all the other streets. It's like, why is it that one particular block, when you have 5 others that precede that block getting speed hump? So it can't be about emergency vehicles or anything of the sort. There has to be some kind of explanation. And why there's speed camera if you obviously know that they're speeding on the block, versus just do the hump, just do the speed
That's
hump.
an excellent point, Carmen. Excellent point. And that needs to be emphasized. So I'm glad you say that.
Yeah, thank you. So we will definitely follow up and get back to you. We're not meeting, but we will continue to work on it, despite the fact that we're not meeting until September. So Francisca will be part of all of that, so she can keep you all abreast, or I'll email you and I'll keep you abreast of whatever it is that's going on. Respect, okay? So hopefully the next time we meet and talk about it, be like, yay, it's on its way. For real this time.
Even if we get it approved, though, don't they have like a 2 or 3 year timeline?
Well, I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what happened between the approval and then why they did the subsequent denial after it was approved. And it's mind-boggling what's going on. It's the same as the street calming. They did the street calming all the way down Lefferts up until they got to Bedford, and then it stopped. They did the curb extension. They did all kinds of stuff to calm the traffic there. But when it came to Washington and Lefferts, it was like minimal effort. So I don't know, something's going on.
And I'd argue if there's a 2-year runway, the sooner we get a resolution and get started, the better, right? Like that only benefits future Lefferts. So
yeah. So we will follow up. Thank you. So in all business, we also, Mr. Freeman.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm the president of the Lincoln Road Block Association between Rogers Avenue and Bedford Avenue. I attended the meeting on May 4th. As you know, the Department of Sanitation is going to return to the pre-pandemic schedule of alternate side of the street parking. And on our block, we don't want to return to that. We want to stay with the 2 days a week that it's been since then. So I attended the meeting on May 4th, not to discuss the question, but to find out about the process, because the community board is supposed to conduct a public hearing and then vote on the recommendations to sanitation. So my question from May 4th is about the community board scheduling the public hearing so that our question can be discussed. So for tonight, I'm expecting to hear about scheduling that public hearing.
Okay. Well, Mr. Freeman, since you last came to the meeting, both Dante and I follow up to get clarification as to how the I guess they call it either the appeal or a request, a special request for what you asking for just 1 day each side. So you want 2 versus the 4, going back to the full alternate side parking, street cleaning regulation. And based on everything that they have said, yes, it requires the board to have a community forum. It has to be like a town hall. It all begins with the committee, but you really need to go to the environmental committee and not not the transportation committee, because based on everything that they say needs to be done, that is something that only it has to be dealt with sanitation, and we don't deal with sanitation. Sanitation falls under the Environmental Protection Committee, which is meeting on June 14th. And I will forward you the information that they sent to Dante, that Dante forwarded me. And I will also forward it to the chair of the Environmental Protection Committee so that they can take that up. But what has to happen is it has to come out of that committee. A motion has to be made. It has to be adopted by the committee. The committee then makes a recommendation to the board, and the board then moves forward having the town hall meeting, the public hearing. And on top of that, there are also other steps that the board has to follow. There has to be notice to the elected official, notices to the utility companies. So it's an entire process that take place. So it's not just the board having a town hall meeting, and the board, first of all, the board has to vote on whether or not they want to move forward. After they get the recommendation from the committee, the board has to vote as to whether or not they want to move forward with this public hearing. After that public hearing is conducted, and if it is approved and it's decided that that's what the board wants to do, wants to proceed making those recommendations, then it has to be even advertised in the community. It has to be spread out. The elected officials have to be notified. The utility companies, I don't know how they come about, but I will forward you what was sent from the Department of Sanitation to Dante, which Dante forwarded to me. So I will also send it again to the Environmental Committee, and you should reach out to that committee at the meeting on the 14th, and I will also be at that meeting so that I can speak on what you have reported to us. But this is actually something that it appears to be a lengthy process. Is not something that's going to happen overnight.
Well, I'm very disappointed by this answer because I first attended the community board meeting, the general meeting in April, and raised this question, and I was told then that I needed to go to the Transportation Committee. So I came to the Transportation Committee meeting on May 4th, as you know, expecting an answer tonight from the Transportation Committee, not expecting to hear that it has to go elsewhere.
It doesn't fall under our jurisdiction. Mr. Freeman, I understand you're disappointed. You came to the meeting, and what I said to you was that I will look into the process. And in looking into the process, or everything involves Department of Sanitation, DOT is in charge of the signs. They can only do the sign based on what have been decided. So when you came, I said that I will look into it, which is what I did. And I'm giving you the information that I obtained. Is not pleasing to you, and I'm sorry about that. But if the board told you to come to the Transportation Committee meeting, that's not where you should have been. If you have been looking into it, and you will see that everything has to go, the scorecards have to be reviewed for the past 2 fiscal years. So it's not automatic. And if it's below 90% cleanliness, it's not going to happen. So it's an entire process that takes place for that to happen. And I'm giving you the information, which is what I said that I would do when you came to the meeting, that I will look into it, get you the information, share that information with you, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay,
So
it's
it has to,
unfortunate.
it's a whole process that take place. I'm giving you the process that you have to follow. I'm sorry you're not happy with the answer, but I can only give you the process as I found out, as Dante found out, and as it is. And that's just the way it is. If the scorecard doesn't cut the mustard, it's not going to happen. There has to be a certain, it has to be not below 90% in terms of the scorecard for the cleaning for the last 2 fiscal years. So we have to get those cards. If it's not even 90%, there's not even a point in moving forward because it's not going to happen. So I'm telling you the process. You're not happy with my answer. I'm very sorry. But all I said that I would do was look into it, and that's what I did. And I'm giving you the information. Now, you are more than welcome to go to the environmental committee, have them do the project, but it's the steps that are necessary, get the scorecard and all that other stuff is not within this committee. It's not within this committee. So if you was misadvised, I'm sorry, but you can't request for me to do something that's not within this committee. We cannot even go to the board and make a recommendation because it's not our committee.
It's
It's not our
unfortunate.
committee.
Oh my gosh. It's unfortunate that the community board in April referred me to the transportation committee, since that was wrong. So if they had referred me properly to the environmental committee, that's where I would have been for the past 2 months. So it's been a waste of my time and your time to come to the transportation committee with this question.
Excuse me, this is Warren Burke. I'm the first vice chair. If I have to check the minutes, but if we did do that, my apologies. But that's the way it is. So I
That's
do
the way
think
what
that
is?
excuse me, sir. I think Carmen has provided adequate research into your question as she promised.
Yes, she has.
Okay, so let's move on forward and not dwell on a community board general meeting. I'll check the minutes, but I'll be certainly happy to communicate you on that. But in the interim, Carmen has showed due diligence and fiduciary responsibility.
Agreed.
So let's not dwell on this and let's move forward to see if we can accomplish your goals. So thank you.
Unfortunately, the other unfortunate part is that
No, there's no, sir, there's nothing unfortunate here.
All right, Warren, okay,
There's a
okay.
process.
All right, it is 9 o'clock. We started at 7. Mr. Freeman, again, and in looking at the communication that you actually forward, the communication you forwarded and the people that you have been having dialogues with are the Department of Sanitation, so therefore it's not within transportation, because I looked at the information you sent, the people that you spoke, and I was like, that's sanitation. Then I reached out to DOT and I reached out to the city and I reached out and everything came back to sanitation. And that's when I was like, wait a minute, that's not even in my committee. So even if we have moved forward with the recommendation when it got to the board, we would have been out of order because we would have been coming to the board with a motion that should never have been made in transportation. If we had just said, okay, sure, you want this, let's move forward. So I did what I said I would do. I got you the information. And even if they had directed you to the right committee, it's not going to happen like you expected to happen by July 15th. It's a lengthy process. And again, it's all based on what the scorecards are saying about the cleanliness of CB9's district for the past 2 fiscal years. And if it doesn't cut the mustard, it's not going to happen. That's really where it lies. If it doesn't cut the mustard, it's not going to happen. So again, I will forward the information that I got to you. I will send it to the chair of environmental, ask them to proceed accordingly. I will come to that meeting in case there's any questions and answer any question, and invite you to please go to the meeting. And I believe it's on June 14th. It's the 14th or the 17th, Mia, one of those days. I think they meet on Tuesday or something like that. And they will take it from there. and do the research with regards to the scorecard and all that other stuff. But that's all I can do for you.
Thank you.
Okay. So anyway, unless there's any other issues that the committee members wish to raise, yes, are you saying something, Warren?
Yes, the thing I want to raise is, number one, I want to thank you for all the work you've done this year. And as important, the committee members, as well as the general public. This is my favorite committee meeting. And I just really respect the interest and the interaction from everyone. So I thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Warren. And I guess I should let the committee members know that I will probably not be chairing the meetings when they resume in September, because I was not reappointed to the board. So therefore, I might be just a regular community member, just like you, bringing issues to the committee. So thank you, everyone, for your participation. Thank you for your camaraderie and your expertise and everything else that you brought to this committee meeting to make it exciting. I will now ask for a motion to adjourn, and we can all go about our business at 9:07. Go ahead, Paco, make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, Stanley, and that's it. Meeting adjourned. Good night, everybody. Again, thank you so much. And
Thank you, Carmen.
hopefully
Thank you,
I'll see
Carmen.
you next time. All right. Good
Have a
night.
good summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Same to you, to everyone. Thank you.